Okay, we'll get this thing started. Hello to everybody out there. Thank you so much for joining us today for our first Lunch and Learn with the Experts for 2021. Today we're going to be talking to our experts about how to create great digital experiences with a new term you may have heard called engagement marketing. To kick things off, I will do just some basic housekeeping. On the right side of your screen, you'll see your control panel. And you'll use that for any kind of chat functionality. The chat functionality, and I'll show you because it's covering it, is at the bottom. You'll see in the bottom right of your screen. In addition, if we have any polls or takeaways, those will also be seen in that control panel where you can take advantage of those as well. Moving forward, I want to introduce today's panel of experts. We're going to start today with Ben Ladani, the CEO and founder of Creative MMS. Ben?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Yeah, my name's Ben Ladani. I've been in digital marketing for about 16 years. Founder and CEO of Creative MMS, and worked with companies in almost every industry, ranging from local small businesses all the way up to Fortune 500, large corporations, nonprofits, and institutions. Founded a team that's a great, savvy team of experts in digital marketing across all skill sets. And as a team, we solve many problems in marketing and tech for our partners and clients. So excited to be here and happy to talk to you guys.
Great. And JC Costa, the co-founder for New Pace Productions.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? I'm the co-founder at New Pace. We've been in business since 2007. So we've been cranking away at video production for a long time now and kind of seeing a lot of the ups and the downs and the ebbs and the flows of video content and how it's changed and how it's grown and how it's evolved. So we're really excited to talk about some strategies today and kind of give you guys some insights on the things that we think about when we're producing our content for our clients.
Great. Thanks, JC. Also with us today is Sean McMullen, who is also with New Pace as the production manager and the creative director. Sean?
Hello. Sean McMullen, creative director, production manager at New Pace. I've been in the industry for 15 years now. I've done everything from feature-length documentaries to reality TV, to corporate videos and virtual reality experiences. So I've kind of bridged the gap from when we were putting everything on tape to doing everything digitally now, especially with everyone inside. So it's been an interesting ride, but it gets better every day. Great.
Thanks, Sean. And Jen Crompton, who's a Creative MMS as the digital marketing and content strategist.
Hi, everyone. I work with Creative MMS as a content strategist. I work with clients trying to figure out what content is going to be the best type of content for performance and for engagement. So I'm happy to share some of our secrets with you guys today.
Great, thank you. All right, we're going to do something a little bit different today that you're probably not used to, but we're going to start off with a little bit of Q&A. So does anybody have any questions right off the bat or things that are burning that they're really wanting to understand and know more about when it comes to content creation and video production? Please put it in the chat channel, and we will be sure to address that as we talk through our presentation. As you are thinking of your questions, though, I'm going to kick this off also with a poll. So the question is do you have a content strategy? And again, you should see that poll down in the bottom right-hand side of your control panel. We'd love to hear your answers and understand a little bit more of where you stand, and get just some more information from everybody out there. So if you want to do that, as well as give us any questions, we'll continue. I'll keep the poll open for a little bit, and we'll revisit that at the end of the session. Okay, great. Okay, Ben, kicking it off.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Thanks. So engagement marketing, what is it? The definition of engagement marketing is the use of strategic and resourceful content to engage people and create meaningful interactions and experiences with prospects and customers over time. So it's a lot of big words. It's a mouthful, right? But it's about engaging people, connecting with them. And in this case, using content to make a really meaningful connection, something that's memorable and something maybe that they'll share, especially when we're talking about social media and things like that. Sometimes you hear this coined experiential marketing or experience marketing. Again, all about creating an experience with your audience. So, you're probably thinking about examples and tell me an example of this, and we'll get to that. Gen C has some great examples of this. But when you think about great experiences, I mean, the top brands all do this, and you guys know that. The Disney experience, brands like Starbucks that really focus on that, and Apple, where that experience is really one to remember. You want to think about that as far as the brands that you know that are doing this well from a content standpoint, right? And so you think about things like Geico's commercials and videos that come out from Geico that resonate with an audience, especially my generation. It really hits me. And those people that are creating that content, especially if you're in a business-to-business world, and how you can relate with them. So how does it relate to you, and what does that mean for you guys? You got to think about the content, that positioning of that content, how to engage with your audience in meaningful ways about it, and make sure that you're really not forgetting who you're talking to. We're going to talk about this even more in a little bit. We're not really just talking about your current customers either, right? What we'd like to see is that you think about your content for new prospective customers or clients as kind of like an on-ramp to you and like the beginning of their journey with you. So that's really important. Moving on. So you got to remember to keep in mind two different things. First off, your audience, right? As marketers, we are always bringing our clients and partners back to the who, like who are we trying to reach? And that matters a ton in terms of the content you create because you're trying to speak to them, right? So not only when you're just writing and planning that content, but when you're distributing, you're thinking about that audience. So we use Dorothy here from Wizard of Oz for a very specific reason, right? So Dorothy in this case is like your brand, like you as the company, right? And she was trying to get Tin Man and Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion as her customers to solve their goals, right? Just like her, you guys are going to try and lead your customers down that yellow brick road with content, right? They all have challenges. You're trying to guide them through to the solution, which means you really need to know them, know what their problems are, know what's going on in their world, and really lead them down that path. You also want to engage with them in a human form, and you want to remove any friction that they might have or experience as they're frolicking down that yellow brick road. But you also have to think about your competitors, right? So just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch is chasing her and, you know, the monkeys are attacking, right? So you got to think about that in terms of your content marketing because your competitors are also after that same audience. And you can't really outrun those monkeys unless you know what they're doing on social media, what type of content are they posting, where do they show up and rank for keywords and SEO around the content that they're writing. So our suggestion is always to follow them on social media, sign up for their newsletters, really get an understanding of what they're posting, where they're posting it, and really use that to your advantage so that you really know how to beat them. You really want to think of what they're doing and the insights that you gather from your competitors as informing those bricks that you lay on the yellow brick road you're creating for your customers. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to pass it off to Jen C. Take it away, Jen.
All right. So for the record, Ben didn't know that was a scarecrow. I believe he called it straw man the other day. So at least he got that right today. So yeah, so we're going to have a little bit of fun. I always like to pull out examples of what we're talking about to try to guide you, give you some idea. Now, keep in mind that when we show some of these examples, they're larger brands, companies that you all have heard of, but some of the basic information and the way that they've put together their content is still relevant regardless of what size you are. So I want you guys to open up your chat, make sure your chat is open, because the way we're going to play this game is you are going to be the first person to get this correct. So you are guessing the brand that this campaign is related to. Okay, so you're going to stick it in the chat and then we will mark which answer comes in first. Not only first, but first and correct. All right, so let's show you that campaign. This is our first one. All right, so name that brand. Can you name the brand that this campaign is all about? So it is a little older. It's kind of older than I thought it was. So it made me feel a little old. But it was about 10 years ago that they launched this. When they first launched the campaign, it was on TV. And then it went onto YouTube. And I'll give you some stats about that in a second. We have some correct answers. I see them coming in. I believe Michael was our first person to get that answer correct. So we are going to send you a prize. I don't know what it is, so I cannot promise you something that I can't provide. So it is Old Spice, yes. And what's really interesting about the Old Spice campaign is that within 30 days of launching this campaign, Old Spice saw over 40 million YouTube views on their videos. And as a direct result, because this is always the question that comes about, right? They saw 107% increase in purchases of their body wash. So it wasn't just that they got all this attention on social media, it actually converted into sales. So I think that's why this is one of the really great video campaigns. The other part of that is the engagement. So not only did they have, you know, this good looking guy telling you about how you can smell like him and get the ladies or whatever, they also had the Q&A where people could send their questions into the Old Spice man and he would respond in a video. One other thing just to note about this real quick is that, you know, while this is technically a male's product, this was really marketed toward women, and that's because Old Spice was going through rebranding. They were revamping their brand, so it wasn't old and stodgy, and it was more toward this younger, exciting group of people. But what they realized was 70% of the people who bought household toiletries, even if they were for men or women, didn't matter, were women. They were the actual purchasers. So that's why they targeted this campaign that way. All right. So now we have a second one. So if you didn't win, sorry, but we have another chance for you. So can you name this brand for this campaign? All right, that's all you get. That is your only clue for this one. So see if you can guess the right answer. If you do, pop it right in the comment box, and then we will be able to select that winner. First person that gives me the correct brand for this campaign. This campaign was more recent, about 3 years ago, 2018. Let's see, did we get, yes, Keith. Keith got the correct answer, so he is our winner. Again, I don't know your prize, but thank you for playing, and we will get you something. So this was the TV spot. It was a TV spot and a print ad spot. This is Colin Kaepernick, who, you know, this was a little more controversial, but this was Nike's ad, and it was very timely. You know, they took a stance, and the quote that they had was, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything." And at that point, what was going on in the world, that really resonated with a lot of people. It was inspirational, it was motivational. So not only did it work well in this format, it also was shareable content. And it was something that got people talking. So it wasn't just about the campaign, but it was also about what people were saying about it later. And as a result, you know, Nike did get some pushback and people who said they weren't going to support the brand. In the end, Nike ended up coming out on top anyway and increased their sales. So those are our examples. One of the things that we want to make sure that we're talking about when we're talking about any type of content is being unique. So making sure that, you know, you are true to your brand, but that you also differentiate yourself. So, you know, we have this beautiful picture of the crayons, and when you think about crayons, they're all made the same. They're the exact same thing, except each one is different in the color or the name. I love when I have a 5-year-old son, and he'll like say a random color, be like, that is sky blue. I'm like, how do you even know that blue has shades like that? But it's about being different, standing out, but also still making sure that you're being true to who you are as a brand and sticking to your morals and your values. So this next picture that you'll see here, this is guiding hands, and we will share this video with you because we're not going to play it right now, but it is worth the watch. It's only, you know, it's a short video, definitely worth the watch though. The whole concept behind it is that they are guiding hands. It's a product, you know, and they are guiding you. So while you're distracted, you're on your phone, you're doing all these things, they are the guiding hands that are keeping you on track and help you make sure that you're accomplishing everything you need to do in the day, even if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. Wouldn't that be nice? So we are saying we're using this in a way that you are the guiding hands. So you are taking your customers on this digital journey. And if we go back to Ben's analogy, you know, you are taking them down the yellow brick road, and on the way, there's a ton of distractions. So it's your job to keep them focused. And one of the ways that you can keep your customers focused and your prospects is by creating high quality content, which is expert and user focused content. So I'll say that again. High quality content is expert user focused content, meaning it's not about you. It's about them. It's about your audience. What do they want? If it's meaningful and it's valuable for them, then that is great content. We also talk about the concept of EAT, which relates back to Google. So how your content is viewed by Google is important if you want people to find you. And so E, I'll go through this quickly for you guys because we can talk about that all day. But so E is for expertise. And it's talking about, do you demonstrate any sort of expertise on the topic that you are trying to target? So your brand, your industry, what kind of expertise are you demonstrating in a digital way? Our authoritativeness, which is about how your content is perceived by others, meaning are others going to your website and finding credible information? Are they sharing it? Are they linking back to it? What are they doing with it? So if it is perceived as an authoritative figure, then that works well in your favor. And then trustworthiness. So how accurate is the information that you're providing? Are you listing sources? Do you have data? Is that data correct? So we want to make sure that we're always focused on the EAT idea. We want to make sure that, again, you're true to your brand, and it must ultimately be valuable for your audience. We can't stress it enough, and we always say it. You know, we know what you want to say as a brand and as a company, but what do your customers want to hear? What do they need to hear, and what's valuable for them? So we have another trivia question, but I'm going to pass this one off to Sean. So
hello. Yeah, and so I'll give you guys some time to open up your chat client again over in your, I believe, the right of your screen, because this one's going to be run a little bit differently. Rather than first come, first serve, it's going to be more like Price is Right. So there's a number that you're going to have to guess in the next slide. And just like Jeopardy, we're going to start the timer as soon as I'm done reading the question, and then I'll give everyone about 30 seconds to enter your answer. So 30 seconds, first guess is the only one that counts. So once I finish reading the question, go ahead and start guessing. All right, so this is about YouTube, everyone's favorite platform. How many hours of video are uploaded to YouTube worldwide every day? It's not just cat videos. I put a lot of videos up with my kids, but all right, we're looking at about 25 more seconds. Once the counter gets down to about 3 minutes or 3 hours, 40 minutes and 35 seconds, I'll start calling it. But this latency is, you know, something we have to wrestle with. YouTube is fun. Ben, what kind of videos do you put on YouTube?
A lot of videos of myself, my kids, my gardening. Yeah, it's me.
JC, how about you? You get your son throwing pitches yet, Tommy John?
Sorry, I was muted. I don't put any videos on YouTube aside from our corporate videos for work. I like to keep my kids' videos on my Instagram.
All right, well,
profile,
the timer has ended, but I'm going to give another 20 seconds or so just to see if there's any answers that are going to trickle in. But yeah, YouTube's great. It's amazing how much staying power it's had. It's been around for almost 2 decades now. Started with, you know, cat videos and flash animations, but now it's a very useful marketing tool, obviously, and we'll get to talk about that. But all right, timer is up, and I think 87.6 million hours is a big guess there. But let's reveal the answer and see who got closest. So the answer is 720,000 hours. So the closest is Rachel Black. And I think that is going to win you a prize. And again, I don't know what that is because no one told Jen and I, even though we're the MCs of these questions. You know, we'll get you something. But you know, that was fun. Congratulations to Miss Black. So I think the next slide is going to be handled by my boss, JC Costa.
Mm-hmm. So I can find it. Okay, here we go. There you go. Sorry about that. I lost my cursor there for a second.
No problem. So here we have a couple stats from HubSpot, basically showing some percentages of the type of content and the different things that people are doing with their video strategy. As you can see here, you have blogs, you have videos, you have infographics, a lot of different things, but video is clearly at the top, and video is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. On the right side here, we have a couple different types of videos: customer case studies, product videos, brand storytelling, social engagement. There's a lot of different types of video. But here at the bottom, it says 88% of video marketers report that they're seeing an ROI from video marketing. I think that this leads well into the next slide, where I'll talk a little bit more about strategy around video and how you're going to put your content together. So the key to a great video experience is strategy. I have a bunch of bullet points here and some things that we like to think about that I'll share with you when you're thinking about producing your video content. Here's some questions that you should ask yourself. You should be asking your team. These are the same questions that we ask ourselves when we're producing content. So understanding target audiences. Who's your audience for any video that you're going to produce? Is it an internal audience of employees? Is it an external audience for prospective clients or buyers? Do you have a hyper specific audience or a broad range of potential personas for your video? So people are using video in so many different types of ways. You need to hone in on who the audience is for that specific video. Different mediums for video. So what type of video makes sense for what you're trying to produce? Should it be something where you shoot interviews and B-roll and make a nice, corporate video? Should it be an animated explainer video? A lot of times people ask us, should we be using a professional voiceover, or should we have somebody from the office read the voiceover? These are all different factors that you can think about when you're thinking about the type of video that you want to produce. Should we use stock footage, or should we shoot our own? You need to figure out the best way to tell your story for that specific video. Understanding different platforms for deployment of your video is a big thing, because we have so many different social platforms and channels and different ways to present the video. It's like you need to think about, where's the video going to be shown? Which social platforms are we using specifically? And those things are going to dictate, are we going to shoot it horizontal? Are we going to shoot it vertical? Sometimes we're going to need both. So those are nice things to know ahead of production, so that we can, shoot things in a certain way so that we have access to both if we need both. Another thing is thinking about the best thumbnail for grabbing attention. A thumbnail might sit in a square on Instagram, it might sit horizontally in LinkedIn, and so forth. So a lot of different things to think about, but these questions will help shape the execution of your video production and help maximize your usages for later. Providing the human element. For me, I always say that people like to do business with people that they like. So let them get to know you and let them get to know your team. Video evokes emotion. So when you produce content that makes them feel a certain way, you're connecting with them as humans. Personalizing your brand, giving people insight into who you are and what your leadership team is like, and showing them the type of culture your organization has and how you guys operate, I think are ways to really personalize your brand and show off what makes you different and how you guys operate with your clients. Building trust. Video is a big way to build trust now, because think about in the pandemic, we had to use video to be able to connect with people. Video can show that your team is a real group of human beings that care and that are just like you and they're really good at what you do. And, people want to know, what it's like with who they're going to be dealing with. So when you're connecting with them by way of video, it builds trust in who you're going to hire, who you're going to work with, or who you're going to collaborate with. So video educates, engages, and inspires action. Video can educate your viewers in so many different ways, whether it's about a product or a service, or about promoting an event, or training videos and e-learning components. Video engages an audience, whether this is internal videos, external content on social media, or for sales teams nurturing prospects. There's all different types of engagement depending on who that audience is, as we talked about earlier with the audiences. Ultimately, the goal with video is to inspire action. So do you want somebody to buy something? Do you want them to sign up, learn more, opt in? Do you want them to just simply stay engaged with your brand? This will depend on the strategy and the use of the video and how you deploy your content. So these are a lot of different things that we talk about and we think about when we're dealing with our own clients, when we're producing our own video. And it really has to get pretty granular as to what it is for that specific piece of content that you want to produce.
We have a question from Rachel, more about promoting video more than producing it, but she's questioning YouTube versus Facebook versus TikTok versus elsewhere. Just opening it up to the panel to see what your thoughts are on that question. Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it depends on the audience. I mean, specifically, you're talking about video there, but if you just take two of those, in my mind, and JC, welcome to hear your thoughts on that. But YouTube versus TikTok. I mean, TikTok has become a great opportunity for people to engage on a brand level. So if it's, makeup and direct to consumer stuff, that's a good platform for that, as well as YouTube. But if you're in kind of a B2B space and your users are not on TikTok, then YouTube is going to be a little bit better for that. So it goes back to thinking about your audience and where they are. And we're actually kind of segueing into something that's pretty top of mind here.
Okay, I'll add something real quick, is that TikTok, because I try to be cool and young and try to figure it out. One of the accounts I actually found to be really interesting is one that is targeted toward millennials, and it is all about finances. So you can actually learn like financing tips and tricks and things like that. And I think the reason why it works well is just what Ben said. It's the audience, and it's the fact that it's very short clips of information that are easily consumable. So not only it's about your audience, but also about the format. If you're looking for something that's long and it's more detailed and it needs, additional links, maybe you're going to go on YouTube. But if it can be quick and it can reach your audience, TikTok can definitely be a good option. So think about your audience, the format of the content, and really what it is you want them to get out of it in the end.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on. Ben.
Yeah, Rachel, it's like you knew the next slide, right? So back to the yellow brick road analogy, we talk about something called magical marketing, and I think this is something you guys can take away and think about in terms of just, is my marketing right now magical? And what it means to us is, are you hitting the right person at the right time, on the right channel, and sometimes we even layer in on the right device. And that could kind of go hand in hand with the right format, right? Because you're going to be thinking about that in advance of this. And when you've had that magical marketing, you know it, right? You get hit with an ad or some piece of content, and it's, wow, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm interested in this. It hit me where I'm thinking about it and when I'm thinking about it. So we really talk about that right place, right time as being very important. So here you're seeing, off on the right, I think it's a really insightful graph because it's, showing you guys what channels people were creating content for in January, February 2020. And I know a lot's changed since then, but you could see that people were putting a lot of content out on Facebook. And these were marketers of B2B and B2C companies, so it's across the board. But they're also focused on the website, and we like to see that. I mean, off on the left, you can see this is a snapshot of our site, where we have a resource library and people can find the information that they're looking for. And we are, more so than not, telling people that's a really good thing to do, to put your information up on your website. Your content needs to live there. And there are major reasons, because you have the opportunity to measure the engagement with that content, control the content in ways that you can't on every single other platform. And that's not to say that video doesn't belong on YouTube. I mean, in most cases, it should be there for it to be searchable, and Google loves, to see YouTube videos. But you want to be able to measure the experience and control the experience, and so the website's an important piece of that. And you want to make sure you're constantly thinking about, where's my audience going to engage with this? And beyond that, one of the biggest things that we like to focus on is that call to action at the end of the content. You took them down that journey. They're on the yellow brick road. They took step by step to read that content and that piece. And as they're on that marketing journey, you have to be thinking, what's their next thought, so that you could put the next piece of content or the next call to action in front of them so they take that step. And I mentioned that engagement in terms of measurement, but once that content's up there, and the reason why we like it on the site is because after you distribute it, you're able to measure the return of investment or return on your investment there, analyze that data, and optimize on an ongoing basis. So we asked the question in terms of how many people have content strategies already. And in that poll, it seems like most people kind of have, it was 57% said that they sort of have a content strategy. Well, even if you have one, you need to be rinsing and repeating constantly, informing what you're distributing based on the data that you see and what's happening. So again, if it's on your site, you could look at what are the top access pieces of content, and vibe with your audience in terms of what content you want to create in future plans. The other thing we like to see is repurposing content. So you think about like a case study video that you might do, and that being great to talk to a prospect in the way that you're communicating with new people when you're marketing. But it also might be great for your sales team if they're in the middle of communicating and further down the line in sales to use that case study content and repurpose it. So we see that line between marketing and sales and content being a good bridge between those two things as well. And I'm going to go back to those monkeys that are chasing you, right? That competition, you're following them, you know what they're saying, you listen to it, you read what they write, and you adapt your strategy based on where they are positionally. It's really important to make sure that you're optimizing around that. One quick piece on this that you'll see. So we see this as a circle, as a flywheel off on the right, where if you do this properly with content, you have content for strangers that become visitors, that become leads, become customers, and become promoters to basically continue to recruit more strangers. So your content should work in that cycle to continue to bring people in more like a circle and less like a funnel. Cool. So we showed this in terms of, again, going with the analogy, whether you like it or not, and we probably beat it to death, but you've always had the power. You just needed to learn to do it for yourself. Glinda the Good Witch, we're here telling you guys, you can do this. You really just have to know kind of the best practices and take some of the things that we've said and build out a strategy to execute on it.
Great. Thanks, Ben. All right, so we're opening it up for Q&A. I know we have some questions that came in advance, so thank you for those that submitted them. If you do have any questions, we ask that you, again, please put them in the chat channel, and we will be sure to answer them. Some that we got in advance, which I'll keep an eye on chat, but I'll go through some of the ones that we have in advance, which are, so Stephen asked prior to this discussion, in a peer-to-peer business, what's the best way to use the internet for marketing? You can start with Ben or Jen.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear more about the peer-to-peer space in terms of, it's, not extremely familiar to me. I think it goes back to the same things that we're saying about the audience, who that audience is and what they potentially could be looking for you. And being unique, like Jen said, I mean, being unique in terms of trying to stand out if you have competitors in the space and you're trying to stand out amongst them.
Great.
Yeah, and I would just add, it's that meet them where they are, right? So like if you know where they are, what they're doing, or you can figure that out, then figure out where they are, meet them where they are, and then take them along on that journey.
Great. Okay, just quick mention for Michael. Yes, this presentation is being recorded and we will share it with others. We'll actually send it to you after the webinar. So you will receive this once we've downloaded it, and we'll send it to your way. Actually, we'll send it to everybody. Okay, next question. This one actually probably goes out to JC or Sean. If I decide to launch a video campaign, what do I need to get started? Oh, JC, unmute. Everybody take a drink of water.
Sorry. I can jump in here. I mean, to get started, it really should start with a brainstorming session with you and your team to figure out what is the function of this video, what is the purpose of this video, what are we trying to achieve with this video, even if it's just a whiteboard session or a content outline, just brainstorming. I think that's a good place to start, because you need to start wide and then kind of narrow it down, as I was talking about, figuring out exactly who the audience is or the type of video that you want to produce, and the mediums of video that can be produced are all over the place. So I think it starts with, what do we want to do here? What are the goals? Who do we want to speak to? And then I think from there you can start to think about, okay, should this be interviews and B-roll video? Should this be, an animated explainer video? What's going to make more sense? How much budget do we have allocated here? Because that can also drive decision making around the type of videos that you want to produce. So I would just say, starting with an outline with your team around the goals of the project and the use of the video.
And I'll just jump in. I'll just jump in there too. As the video producers and the team working with you guys, It's always great to have inspirations of stuff you like, stuff you don't like, that we can build off of, because coming to a company like us and just saying we want a video gives us not much to work with. We can create, but we need to know kind of what your plan and your goals are. The worst thing that we can hear is that you just want something to go viral, because it's just impossible to quantify. So having a plan, and I think that's what we've been talking about today, having that plan is the most important thing. Great.
And that probably leads to a second question, which would probably lead right off of that, is this person has a small business. They're a small business owner, and they're wondering how they can go about, starting a video strategy or, doing a video campaign. Where do they go when they are not like, the Nikes and the Old Spices of the world?
Yeah, so in terms of where to go to create the video, I think JC hit on some things that were like, if you're creating the video yourself and budget is a concern, what are the things that you want to kind of take into consideration and make sure you're doing yourself to optimize the amount of effort that you put in? I mean, regardless, there's going to be an investment if it's dollars or if it's your time. And you got to consider the fact that, if you're trying to learn this from the ground up, that's an investment in your time that could be used for somewhere else. So that's one thing I'd add there. But I don't know, JC, if you have thoughts on that.
I think it depends what your internal resources look like too. If you have resources internally with some marketing teams or people that can help, do the campaign internally, and you guys just need help with the video production, I think that we can help you plan that video out and communicate with you on the best ways to deploy that with your existing resources. However, if you don't have any of those resources in-house, you're going to need a team like creative to help figure out that omni-channel approach and where it's going to live and how you're going to deploy it. And then, we can help with the video specifically. Some people have the ability to just create video content themselves, and they need the agency help like creative. So it kind of depends exactly what your resources are and what your needs are still. But
perfect. And what are some of the recent effective video trends that are out there?
Video trends, there's a lot of different trends that I've seen lately, because like for a while it was short video, attention spans are really short, and that still is the case I think a lot of times. But again, depending on your audience, now people are creating like long form content that's like podcast type content that are videos still. So if you have like a really niche audience talking about, I don't know, maybe it's just sales, there might be video podcasts that could be an hour long. But if you're somebody who's really interested in that content, you're going to sit and listen, with the video, maybe on another monitor, letting it run. So it really depends, like who you're going after, of how you want to create that content. I think a lot of educational content is now more longer form. Like we just got done a project that was, 50 videos for a self-help course. And inside that video, they were sometimes 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but sometimes 10, 15, 20-minute videos inside that course where there's, talent on camera, and they're talking about, they're like the experts in that content that they're delivering. So they might be doctors, they might be different types of practitioners, whatever the case, but those are long form videos and people are paying for it and watching it. So again, it does depend.
I think, JC, that comes to a point that you brought up about knowing the platform that you're going to be putting it to in terms of like the format. Because the other thing you might think of is like the question that Rachel asked about TikTok. Like if it's TikTok, that's not the right platform for that. They're shorter, consumed a lot quicker. In terms of Instagram, if that's the platform, it's very story-based. There could be video on there as well. But you really got to think of like the entire puzzle piece, like you guys said, in terms of whiteboarding it before you just start creating or producing anything.
Great. All right. Here's a good one. What if my company isn't that exciting? Can I still use video as a marketing tool? And if so, how?
I would say me and Sean and our team have made some really boring companies look very exciting, or, sometimes it's like a manufacturing company that makes boxes or plastic or, you know, little devices that don't look that exciting. We have ways and techniques, and with the magic of video and editing, that we can make it exciting. We can overlay motion graphics and have music and have an exciting narrator reading with an engaging voice and tone. And when you package all that together, it's now an exciting, engaging piece of content. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. We can make you look exciting and fun.
Yeah, to an extent, that's why you work with a company like us, because we are there doing this every day. We're able to kind of take a dive into what your company is and how we can make the content exciting. If you're an accounting firm, but you want to get, and I apologize if there are accounting firms out there, I don't necessarily find them boring, but it's accounting. It's our job to get the message to a point where you're grabbing views, you're getting people interested, and you're getting your call to action to the right people. So even if you don't think your company is exciting, there's content and ways of presenting the content that can at least engage the right people and find your audience.
Yeah, and I would say too, like there's always a story. There's always something that could be hidden that you're not seeing because you're in the business. But an outsider's perspective can always be helpful with kind of saying, like asking some leading questions and finding out like what really is interesting. And that's part of, you know, what we do is we're talking to clients and we're picking up different stories and different pieces of it, and then we're able to kind of piece something together that makes a lot of sense, that can be exciting. And a quick example, we were talking to one of our clients the other day, and they're like an adult day center. And one of the things that was really interesting was the backstory of one of the center directors, the fact that he left his very successful financial career to go do something that he felt was more fulfilling. That's a great story. It's not necessarily about the business, but it's about the people, and they're a people-focused business. So that's the story that we can pull out. So there's always gems. You just have to uncover them.
Great. And right now, the last one. In regards to ROI, so Ben, I guess this will start with you. Which metrics should I use to measure success of, you know, a content strategy or a content plan? How do you what's the best way to measure that success?
Yeah, so in the ideal world, you're able to measure lead level data. For example, like when somebody interacted with a piece of content, what was the exact journey that they took all the way through to purchase? That's like the best case scenario, right? And a lot of times that means you need a CRM in place, even some degree of a marketing tool like a HubSpot or something like that to track the journey through and see on the backside of it, what did this person buy, or how much did they spend with us, or whatever, so that you can, you know, let that inform your decision on the front end. A lot of times that's not really very realistic because somebody's just starting out, doesn't have CRM in the back end set up, or frankly speaking, those data points, connecting them takes some work and energy. And so that's not exactly very easy. So just in terms of, like I said, about the content being on your website, you could just start with the basics of as far as engagement. Like, did people read this and open it? You know, how long did they spend on it? So time on site or time on page for us is important. If it's an email piece of content that goes out, checking open rates for the subject line and checking, you know, whether they click through that piece of content. And if it's video, how long are they engaging on it? Punching through the wall a bit and saying, did they share it, is also a good measure of that success. You know, but ROI, you really want to get to the how much was that interaction worth to us, and really try and find a number for that so you can measure it on a lead level versus just holistically.
Great. And thanks, Jen, for bringing this to my attention, because somehow it got further down on my chat. Christina asked, how does SEO factor into content writing beyond EAT? Do you identify keywords and create content for them? So Jen, I'll let you take that one away.
Yes, this is my favorite thing because, well, it's the most challenging thing. But yes, this is exactly what we do. So we identify, you know, keywords and key phrases, and we kind of like reverse engineer it. So we say, like, what are the search intents? So when you figure out your audience, what questions are they typing into a search box that would lead them to your business, right? So you think about, you get in the minds of your audience and you say, okay, what are they typing in? What are some of those keywords? And then we create content, and content performs in different ways, right? So there's content that's very valuable, there's content that ranks, and then there's content that kind of serves both of those purposes. So sometimes we may create a piece of content that isn't necessarily like the most compelling content you've ever read, but it works very well for SEO, and it's going to really help with the site ranking, and it's going to help, you know, with optimization. So we're going to create that piece. And then there's another piece that we create that is incredibly valuable for the audience, but you know, may not be as optimized because they're looking for something else that's more entertaining or whatever it may be. But ultimately, so the answer to your question is yes, we take a look at the keywords and key phrases, do a full analysis of not only like industry related words, but also competitors. And then we create content that factors in those SEO insights to make it really effective.
Great. And lastly, Michael asks, can you share a perspective on the range of costs for short video production? So I'll punt that one to JC.
The range of costs for short video production. We always have this conversation with clients because it's hard sometimes. And for us, I usually am telling people we can produce videos from $5,000 to $50,000, sometimes more, sometimes less. It really depends on a lot of the factors that come into play. How many short videos are you talking about? Are you talking about 3 deliverables or 30 deliverables? Are you talking about a strategy that's like our short video strategy for the entire year? And so we need to create a budget that's going to make sense on a monthly or quarterly basis to execute. Or are we talking about a one-off, I need, 5 15-second videos that I'm going to deploy on social media and different things. So those are factors that come into play. And then it's always easier for us when we can have more of a transparent conversation with a client or a prospect to say, hey, my budget is this, or my budget range is this. What can we do? It helps us to better properly allocate resources and to say, okay, if we have, say $5,000 and we need 5 short videos, we can figure out, okay, can we do 1 shoot day? How many people could be on the crew that day? Can it be a one-man band kind of shooting and getting some lighting and audio all in one shot? Or do we need like a 3-person crew with a director and a producer? And then we think about the post-production. How many hours is it going to take to edit these videos? How basic or dynamic are these videos going to be? Sometimes it's just a person in front of a seamless backdrop just talking, and there's very minimal cuts. It might only take a half a day to crank out 3 or 5 short videos. But if you have to overlay motion graphics and underlay music and add in an intro and an outro and things like that, it makes it more dynamic. However, it also takes more time. So there's not one simple answer to say like, what are the costs? There's always ranges, and there's ways to again, allocate the resources to properly fit the budget to get the videos that you expect.
Great, thank you. All right, well, it looks like we've answered everything in the chat. We've answered all our preliminary questions. I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. Again, we will be sending out this video along with links to some of the videos that Jen mentioned, and we will get the prizes out to the winners. So thank you for participating. And yeah, have a great day. Stay safe, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.